Yesterday we saw a Mishnah on Daf Chaf Beis Amid Beis that usually they would go ahead and they would use torches and they would put on the top of the torches from different mountains and they would wave them until went out to the diaspora, went out to the Goyla, we'll see Pampatisa, that in fact that they were Makadosh to Levana. So now we're dealing with exactly which day did they go ahead and put it out on. So we're up to Chaf Beis Amid Beis, the Gemara. Now it said Lashon of Masi and Masois. So my mashma de Masian is Lashon of the Yikudhu. How do you know the Lashon of Masian is the Lashon of burning? Dichsiv by Yisoyim David by Nashav. And it says it's speaking about the David by the Plishtim. He had Avodah Zarah in his possession. So literally by Yisoyim means what? That he went ahead and he carried them away. But we're saying Vayisam over here means with Tergaminon, Vilkdinan David. David burnt them. So you see the Lashon of Vayisam is the same shirish of Masois, Ayin Hey. It's the same shirish, and therefore it's speaking that they would burn. They would burn. Tanabanan. Ein Masiyim Masois Ella Ala Chaydesh Shenira Bizmanoi Lekatshai. They'd only go ahead and guys do the torches on when Rosh Chodesh was on the 30th day. On the 30th day. So when would they go ahead? They would go ahead and they would burn these torches from 30 going into 31. And they would be announcing, fellas, that the 30th day was Rosh Chodesh. You know that the 30th day is Rosh Chodesh, not the 31st day. They'd go ahead, what again? They'd only do it on a Chodesh that's chaser, not a Chodesh that's malay. Only on a 30-day month, not a 31-day month. And we're going to see a cheshbon why in a second. You guys are here? Only on a 30-day one, not a 31-day month, and why? Okay. The Amasai Masin, and when would exactly they go ahead and carry the torches, wave the torches, La'or Iburoi, to the night of its Ibur, which is the 30, going to 31. Lememra, to say, the Achasa Avdinon, on Chaser, a month that was 30 days, they went ahead and they waved the torches. Amale Lo Avdinon, but on a Mole at 31, they did not go ahead. In other words, when the 29th Chaser, the past month was 29 days and Rosh Chodesh was on the 30th. Only in that scenario did they wave the torches. But when the month was Mole, it was a 30-day, and Rosh Chodesh was on the 31st day, they did not do it. Then they did not do it. My time, what's the reason? Rabbi Zera, Gezerah Mishum, Rosh Chodesh Chasa Shechaliyos Be'erev Shabbos. If Rosh Chodesh in a Chasa month would fall out on a Friday. So let's say Rosh Chodesh Chasa falls out on a Friday. Now, again, when would you do it? You'd have to go ahead and do it on Friday night. Again, that's Friday night, guys, is day 30 going into 31. Your Rosh Chodesh, guys, is when is Friday. Like this is Rosh Chodesh. This Chodesh is Friday, right? Now, when would you have to wave the torches, guys? Friday night. Good. So listen to the cheshbon, because of this, they only did it on a chaser. Now, we don't know why yet. Now, what says Gemara? My time. When are you going to go ahead and use these torches? Because you can't do it Friday night. And if you're going to say you do it on 31 as well, Asi limiti, you come to make a mistake, and Omar, hi chaser. This is a chaser who v'haidlei ovid mei etmol, and that's the reason we didn't do it Friday. Mishum b'lo yefshar. Oidilma malehu u'izmana yavdoi. Okay, notice they only guys look at me. They only waved it on a Friday on the night of the 30 going to 31. Only on a chaser. What are you worried about when Rosh Chodesh? But they didn't do it on a malay. Now the havmin of the Gemara is, why don't you do both? In other words, if I wave it on the 30 to the 31, they're going to know 30 is Rosh Chodesh. If I wave it 31 going to 32, they're going to know 31 is Rosh Chodesh, right? Well, that's all you have to know. I only have to know history. I only have to know when Rosh Chodesh is to count. What's Rosh Chodesh? Only counting for the Moedim. You don't have to know past. The only reason for
I was thinking hollow.
yeah, okay. Anyway, the only reason you'd have to know is for the Moedim. That's the main thing. Okay. So now, Fred the Gemara Kasha, guys. So do both. Do 30 and 31, not just 30. Says the Gemara, you got a problem. What's going to happen? on Rosh Chodesh that falls out on Friday, you can only do it Motzei Shabbos, right? Now, if you do it Motzei Shabbos, you got two possibilities. Either A, it was a chasser and they couldn't do it Friday night, or it's a malay and now, so you wouldn't know which is which. So now, when you're going to do it Motzei Shabbos and you only do it on a chasser, they're going to know that month's a chasser. And the reason you couldn't do it Friday night was because it was a chasser. So look, Sister Gemara. Look at Rashi, guys. Asi limiti, hashta b'nei goyla amri. The people in the Golos will say, the reason why they did it Friday night, Saturday night, is I don't know. It's because either it's a chasser or a malay. However, aval hashta the loyav dinon ela chasser. Since now you only do it on a chasser when the month is 29 and you're doing the night of the 30th. Ki avdina l'motzei Shabbos, which is the 31st going to the 32nd, yodai de chasahu. They're going to know unequivocally that, guys, it's for the chasser. You know why? Because you never do it on the 31st. It's a geshmak of shot, guys, right? You never do it on the 31st. You only do it on the 30th. So if you're doing it on the 31st, it must be what? It must be because it's a chasser. There's a Gemara over here. There's Gemara. I see a Gemara over here. I think is that an article Gemara? Rosh Chodesh? Is that Rosh Hashanah?
Yeah, Rosh Hashanah.
Okay, good. Fred the Gemara ulavid beina malay beina chaser. So now, guys, still a kasha. Guys, do both. What do you mean do both? You just told me you can't do both because you won't know Saturday, Motzei Shabbos. You won't know if it's a 31 or a 30. No. V'chi mikla Rosh Chodesh be'erev Shabbos loy la'avid klal. V'kivin loy avdina Motzei Shabbos v'avdina amalei made the yada dechasahu. So in other words, says the now further Marakasha. Do it on both. Now, when Rosh Chodesh falls out on erev Shabbos, right? Don't do it at all. And since you didn't do it on Motzei Shabbos, and you do it on a malay, so everyone would know that that is a chasser because you didn't do it. In other words, if it's a malay, I should be doing it Motzei Shabbos. Saturday night, I should be waving it. Why? Because I do it on a malay as well. And by the fact that I'm not doing it is a raya, it must be a chasser. So every other, in other words, we're only worried for one scenario when Rosh Chodesh falls out on erev Shabbos. Fred the Gemara, I have an answer to that scenario. Every other month, depending whether the month is a chasser or malay, go ahead, take these torches, the mountain, wave him. If it's a 30 to 31, they'll know it's a chasser. If it's 31 going into 32, they'll know it's a 31. Good? And that one scenario, right, when they don't do it at all, you know what they're going to say? You know why they didn't do it? It must be because Rosh Chodesh was on Friday. Because if it was on Shabbos, they would do it. Good? So very good. So it's Fred Gemara, why don't you do that? And the Gemara, now you got a problem. Why? I feel hochi limited. You're going to come to us limited, they'll come to make a mistake. Amri, hi malehu. It really was a malay. I was a malay. They should go ahead and wave the torches. The haidloi avdi is snuse who de snuse. Look at this Rashi, guys. This is funny. The first thin line. This snuse b'shikra shal mishte hashabbos. They get drunk. Yeah. And so therefore, really, the reason they didn't do it is why? It's because they got drunk. The people, the guys, the Suda, Shabbos. Again, their main drink was I saw a pshat. It was very interesting. The water was not potable. The water was not potable, so they have to mix it with wine. So therefore, they drank wine all the time.
You know, I read that when they just discovered they just discovered the biggest wine things, you know, in Israel. That goes back 1,500 years ago, and that's where they said that. Israel was exporters, and they drank. The world drank wine because the water was very bad.
And continuing on, Mr. Sandberg, you're doing very well, right? You were quiet till now. It says, so guys, now watch. So do it on a malay and don't do it on a chasser at all. Motzei Shabbos, you're not doing it. What will we know? We'll know that it was a chasser, because if it was a malay, you would have done it on a malay. You know why you can't do that? You can't do it on a chasser at all, because guys, now people have to keep 2 days Rosh Chodesh on the suffix. if you're not going to do it on the chasser, you're going to do it on the malay. They're going to keep one day, right? Because maybe that's Rosh Chodesh, and they won't know otherwise. So therefore, you only do it on the chasser, not the malay.
Maybe Talmud Shop is out of the question.
Out of the question. Out of the question. Said. This is announcing what the Kriya was that Bezdin counts Mekudesh. Kodesh, they said the Kodesh. That's the Kriya of B'Mayadon, but we're informing other people. What? No, I'm good. Okay. Says the Gemara, says Rashi, guys. Okay, now let's list in, guys, the list in. So do it on a mole and not a chaser at all. So in other words, you'll know how you know a chaser, says the Gemara. Amra Baya, Mishum Bittel Mulacha, Gezeira. I Armit Navid Amole, Veloya Chaser. Ein Lecha, look at Rashi, guys. Ein Lecha Rosh Hashanah, Shem is Zvatlin B'nei Agoyim Mimalacha Shnei Yomim. Yoim Lamed Shema Hayom Rosh Hashanah. V'Yoim Shleishim V'Echad Shema Ibur Es HaChodesh. V'Hayom Rosh Hashanah. In other words, if you'd only go ahead and wave the flags on a mole, you'd only flags the waves on a mole. Says Rashi, your problem is Rosh Hashanah. Why? Why is the problem? Why is the problem of Rosh Hashanah? Why is Rosh Hashanah a problem? You're counting the months. It's Elul. You know it's the 29th day. Maybe the 30th day is going to be Rosh Chodesh. Maybe the 31st day is going to be Rosh Chodesh. When will I only find out? After the 31st. So I would have been Mavatal Wat from 2 days, from Malacha. So by doing it in the Chasser, I'll know for sure that 30th day. If I do it in the chasa, but the 31st day, I'm gonna have to keep the 30th. I'll suffix. Maybe afterwards I'll come out. So therefore, Rashi says this is only shaykh by Rosh Hashanah. Yes, though. Yeah, enachinami, but sometimes they did. We said for Moshe Ezra the Elul was always the chasa, but again, that's only that they didn't take into account. But it could be. Okay, so now, in other words, they finagled the calendar. We spoke out clearly on Daf Chaf. We said that they knew exactly when Rosh Chodesh was. They knew this was all. There's a midrash from Mekadosh Al Yedei Re'iyah. They knew exactly when it was. The Haraya, Hillel is not the Tana Hillel. It's the Amoira. It's the Amoira Hillel. He fixed the calendar for eternity. The Tanoim were much bigger than him. Of course, they knew. So that's what we had the Gemara that said, "Do you scare the Eidim into saying they saw the Levana even though they didn't?" What do you mean scare them into if they didn't? Right? We saw the Rach, maybe they saw a star. You tell them, why are you telling them that? Because based upon Cheshbon, you knew it was Rosh Chodesh. You knew it. So they finagled it, depending on they wanted to make, Aleph to Aleph. They finagled the calendar. So again, they played with it. So, but over here, there's a Kiddush Al Yedei Re'iyah. So Memela, they would know, perhaps they would keep a day, and then only find out afterwards. So maybe you have to do it you'd have to do it only on a chas and not a mali. Now, Rashi said Rosh Hashanah, not Rosh Chodesh, guys. Be medayik. Rashi said Rosh Hashanah. Let's see Taisus. Mishum bitul melacha la'am shnei yamim. Pirish b'kuntris. Ein lecha Rosh Hashanah she'em ispatlam b'nei goyim melacha beis yamim bein amale bein achaser. Avol ki yavid achaser. If you do it on the chaser, yodai she'b'yom shloishim nikva. They'll know it was on the 30th day. V'yasu melacha lamachar, and then they'll do work the next day. Now says Taisus, lefarish Rosh Hashanah. Why? The akol Rosh Chodesh koy. It's going on every Rosh Chodesh. And Taisus goes on to say that in Rosh Chodesh there's an Indian of bittul malach of women because of what happened by the chait of the egel. They refused to give over what they had nizamim to the husbands. So the Pirkei Avos says they were rewarded with a day off, which is so therefore that's the day bittul malacha for the woman. Right? There's a bittul malacha for the woman, so therefore what? It's shaykh that bittul malacha also by every Rosh Chodesh, not just Rosh Hashanah. Okay. Anyway, that's the sugya. Now, now the next Gemara, guys, is all about botany. It's all about different types of trees. So for people who like botany, you're not going to get any much more. And so more coming? Or?
Two more.
No. He had one. He had one. It was a quiet one. You didn't hear it. It was like on a silencer, but I heard it. Trust me.
You did?
Cool.
Okay. So guys, a bunch of weird trees. Rav Yehuda, Dalid minim arasim heim. There are 4 type of cedars: Erez, Kasrum, Eitz Shemen, Uverosh. Kasrum, what's Kasrum? Amarav, Adra. That helps things, right? The Bay Rabbi Shila Amei, Mavliga. It's Mavliga.
Wow.
I know your customers. V'imri, and others say, V'imri la zu gulmish. Upligi the Rabbi Rav Huna. Dama Rabbi Rav Huna, Amar Be Rav. Asara mini arasim heim. There's not 4, but there's 10. Shnemar, Etim by Midbar. That's guys. Eretz 1, Shita 2, Vadas 3, Beit Shemen 4, Aslim Ba'arava is 5, Barosh is 6, Siddur 7, Sasha 8, Yachtav is 9, Aris is you count is Aslim and Arav is 2 different things. Now, Eretz is Arza is cedar, Shita is Trinisa is pine, Hadas is Asa is a myrtle, Eitz Shemen is balsam, Afarsama is balsam, Baruch is Barta is boxwood, Sidhar is Shaga is fir, Sasar is Sharivna, got me on that one. For the Gemara, like the other ones I knew. I looked up an article. Hani Shiva says the Gemara, Hani Shiva, these 7 have a, what do you mean 10? There's only 7. Counts, guys. 1, count. Arza, Shita, Tunis, Hadas, Eitz Shemen, Baruch, Sidar, and Sasha is 7. Kiyasav Dimi Amai Sifo Leim. You need 3 more? I'll give you 3 more. Eloinim, Elmoinim, and Elmoigim. Eloinim is Putni. That seems to be pine. Elms. Elmunim is Bluti, oaks. Elmoigim is Kasisa, is Carl. We're going to get into Carl in a second. Carl seems to be. Carl, we think about being under the sea, right? And we think of being as an animal. Right? With coral reef, the great coral reef in Australia. What? It's a living organism. From this Gemara, it's mashma, it's a tree. I guess a tree is also a living organism, right? Okay. Amar Ikedi Amri, not others say it wasn't Aloinim, Elmoigim, and Elmoigin, but it's Aroinim, Armoinim, and Elmoigin. Aroinim is laurels. Are Armoinim. No, excuse me. Aroinim is ores, is laurels. Armoinim is dulvish, chestnuts. Elmugim is ksisa, is carl. So everyone says Almoig is ksisa, is carl. The pasuk says Vitzi Ader, and the mighty ship lo yavirenu. I don't know if you recall. Remember we said in the Chum, we could have the out of the Sharmayim, Mei Cheskel is going to come water. It's going to start off like a trickle, and eventually it's going to grow more and more and more until even a mighty ship won't be able to pass. Good. Amarav, Zu Burni Gedoyla. This is a big ship. Now, Hechi of how would they get the Carl? Guys, how would you get Carl? It's buried underneath the sea. How would you get it? So Maisi Shis Alfi Gavre, they bring 6,000 people. B'Chesa Yache Shasa in 12 months. 12 months. V'Imila, others say Tresa Alfi Gavre, 12,000 people. B'Shisa Yache Shasa in 6 months. V'Tonu Lechoil, they should pile sand on a boat. Ad the Shachna till the boat sinks and it's resting on the bottom. V'Nachis Bar Amoroi, and they would go ahead. Bar Amoroi is a great swimmer. He would swim down. The Kotera Tune de Kisna Bikasisa, and he would tie ropes of strong flax to the coral. The Kotle Besfinas, and he tied the other rope, the other part of the boat. The Notli Chala, and they would go ahead. They would take the sand off the boat, the Shadla Bray, and throw it off the boat. So now the Kama de Madli, and as the boat would rise because it's lost at the weight, Akra, it would be Oiker Umasya, and the coral now would be uprooted and it would rise. Umaklif, I say, hey, that's the way they guys. This way they would harvest coral. They would go ahead, take a boat, right? No, it was deep into the water, so they'd sink the boat in the water. They would have some Mexican guy, some guy go down, with these divers off the cliffs and that. They would dive down. He would tie a thing, tie it to the boat. Then when he let the boat go, and the boat would go up, a big boat, it would schlep it up with it. That's very expensive, very expensive. So umachlav al chad torim the kaspa, the ratio 1 to 2, the kesef plus bar vasa have. There were 3 ports. Tarti Bei Armoi, 2 by the Armenians. The Choded Bei Parsoim was by the Persians. The Bei Armoi Masking sisa, the ones in the Be'amoy, they would go ahead and they harvest sisa. The Parsi, the Persian one, Masika, Magnisa, they would go ahead and bring pearls. Umakra Parvasa, the Mish Mahek, and they would call it the Parvasa, the port of the kingdom. Okay. I'm Rabbi Yochanan. Kol shita b'shita. The Gemara goes off on a tangent now. Now that you know all about corals and fascinating Gemara. I thought the corals were like above the water, but it seems not. No, it seems underneath the water. What? The coral reef is below the water.
Yeah, so you go scuba diving.
Oh,
Scuba diving.
did I ever go scuba diving?
They have the Sharm el-Sheikh they have also. I went to-
Sharm el-Sheikh, you can't go there anymore.
No, I went there.
Yeah.
Scuba diving there underneath the water. It's
You can go all the way down to your lot.
past their lives.
Yeah, you go down.
Magnificent.
Yeah, it's amazing, huh?
You can go below, you have a tour under.
Glass on a boat
Yeah.
Under the water.
under the water.
But those corals
They cut you also. You gotta wear things on your feet.
Huh?
Sharp.
But those are attached to long things now.
Why do I know? I just read the Gemara. You know, I don't know.
That's the
Can you rip them off? I don't know. You can rip them off. No, they probably.
No, it's like
No, you can definitely rip it off.
You could break it off.
you went
Sure,
yeah,
the rest.
you went scuba diving, right?
What are you talking about? This is Diver Dan. What are you
Yeah,
talking
went
about?
diving. Where'd you dive? You dived over there? You went there?
I dove in Iran. I dove in a few places.
It's nice.
We used to go
Very
really-
I'm Rabbi Yochanan. Kol shita b'shita, every lines of pine trees should not look nachrim Yishalayim that the goyim took. Asir HaKadosh Baruch Hu lachzirim. The Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to go ahead and return them. He's going to return them. Lachzirim l'shnemar etim b'midbar erez shita b'midbar Yishalayim. I'll put in the midbar in Yishalayim erez v'shita. Shnemar tzion midbar haisa. I'm Rabbi Yochanan. Anyone who learns Torah and doesn't teach others, similar to what hadas b'midbar. Hadas is a myrtle because it smells, right? So if you learn Torah so you have what to give, but if there's no one, you're not giving to anybody, so it's like hadas b'midbar. There's no one there to smell it. There's no one there to smell it. Conversely, anyone who learns Torah and teaches Torah, in a place of no talmidei chachamim, the chaviv is it's like the das b'midbar. This is very, very precious. So to this person who's teaching Torah in a place where it's scarce talmidei chachamim is very precious. They have no takana. In other words, as we're going to see, there's no hope for them. The following: you know what? You took nechoshes, I'll bring back zav. Tachas barzel, you took barzel, I'll be kesef. Tachas eitzim nechoshes, v'tachas avonim barzel. However, tachas Rabbi Akiva v'chaveirav, my mevian, tachas Rabbi Akiva and asar ruge malchus that you killed. What could I bring? Kadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm never going to go ahead and spill the blood of a Jew to go ahead and replace the blood that you spilled. So therefore, they have no takana. Who says so? We went through a few places. Let's go to the mission again, just because we're going to get a number over here. Where would they go ahead? Masi and Masayis. So the first one from Har Mishcha, they went from Har Mishcha le Sarteva, which is 1. Le Sarteva le Grupina is 2. Le Grupina le Chavrin is 3. When Chavrin le base built in is 4. When base built in leizaz, when base built in they didn't move. So in other words, they didn't do any. That was it. So 4. So my base built in. What's base built in? Amar Rav Amar base says Rav. Right? Zu Biram. This is the town of Biram. Says Tosfos Mashma Kan Shum Eretz Yisrael. V'chem Mefarish Rabbeinu Tam Bekdushin Gabi Machsei Pumbedisa Mi Biram Nasvedis. They traveled from Biram. Amar Rabbi Yosef Zu Pumbedisa. My goyla. It says until the whole goyla was lit up. But that's what is that? My Rabbi Yosef Zu Pumbedisa. It's the town of Pumbedisa, which is in Bavel. So the people in Bavel clearly knew that what the days of Yontif, when Rosh Chodesh was. Now it says it was lit up. The goyla was like my kimadur ve'esh. What does it mean? Kimadur ve'esh. Tana kolecha v'yechad noitel avuka b'yada v'yada l'rosh gagay. In Pumbedisa, each person went up to their roof, and they would go ahead and they would wave it from their roofs. Everything was lit up. So the whole town of Pumbedisa was lit up. Tanya Shimon Lazaymer. Af chorim v'choyer v'choyer v'geder v'chavrusa. These also they waved on these mountains, not just the four mentioned in our Mishnah, but these as well. Ikad Beni Beni Have Kaime. These were encapsulated within the ones that were mentioned in our Mishnah. Ikad Lahach Yisrael Eretz Yisrael Have Kaime. And these were on the other side of Eretz Yisrael. My choshev the Haigisa, my choshev the Haigisa. So I guess one side was I don't know if it means two separate sides because Bavel was only to the Bavel is northeast of Eretz Yisrael, correct? Bavel is northeast Eretz Yisrael, right? So let's say, yeah, Iraq. You go, right? Here's Eretz Yisrael. Iraq is over there north. That's why it says Ma'arava. They always in Bavel. They always stayed in the west, meaning Eretz Yisrael. So I think it means that it doesn't mean on this side, on the east side. Let's say this is Bavel, this is Eretz Yisrael, and this is Bavel. So they lit over here, maybe, and on this other side. I don't know if they meant the other side over here. I'm not sure. But they anyway, Mahagisa. Amr Yochanan being called between all the Achas v'Achas Shmoina parsois coming. The distance between the mountains was 8 parsois. Now we had 4. 8 times 4. Havilo Tilson B'Tartan Havi. It's a total of 8 times 4 is 32 parsois. Fredimar in the Tuva 32 parsois. It seems you go to Eretz Yisrael and you go to from there to Bavel is much more than 32 parsois. Says Arabaya Istatume Istatam Lahu Drachi. That Kodesh Baruch Hu made the derech mekalkal. In other words, to see over the mountains, right? That you could go ahead, but to travel where you have to go through wavy paths, that's going to be longer than 32 parsois. D'chsiv l'chein hinene soch es darkeich besirim. I will go ahead and stump, make your paths besirim with thorns. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak amar mehacha d'chsiv nesivoisai haveh. That it twisted my path. So the bottom line is we have an idea. Again, and the reason that we stopped doing this is because the Kutim, they went ahead and got involved. Guys, if they kept on doing this, we'd only have Monday Yontif. You know unequivocally exactly when Yontif was, we'd only have Monday Yontif. It's because of this that they had to send a shluchim, that since we were worried the shluchim wouldn't get to a certain place and they wouldn't know which day were Shchodesh, they al Safik, they kept 2 days. And even though Bisman Azeh, we know, we saw the minig of Semidech and we saw in Beitza, the Gemara said we don't stop the minig. But it's interesting. In the mashma, the day my son is before the shluchim went out, you didn't need shluchim, 1 day yontif. 1 day yontif. Again, mind you, at that time, there was no America, there was no Europe. I mean, there was, Eretz Yisrael, there's Bavel, they didn't go farther than that. Okay. Says the Gemara. Now, we spoke about the Edom coming. We said Edom could be Machal Shabbos. Not only could Edom be Machal Shabbos, Edom means right time. Not only Edom, but even a person to substantiate the identity of the Edom would also be permitted to be Machal Shabbos, right? Even that we said. Rav Neroy was Machal Shabbos to go ahead and substantially authenticate the person. Says the Mishnah, there was a big chutz in Yerushalayim. It was called Beis Yazik. Ulesham kol ha'edim miskansim. When they would come, they'd show up. They'd all come and they'd enter there. Ubezdin boitkin oisam. And Bezdin would go ahead and check them out. Ubezdin boitkin oisam. Bezdin would check them out. Sham. Useudas gedoylois oisan lehem. They made big sudas. B'shvil shei regilim lavoi. That they is an incentive to come. I saw they speak out in the raid. L'chayra. You'd have a problem. You're hiring Adam. You're going ahead and giving like a little.
There's no freeloaders?
What? Mendy, you'll let me know. Anyway, if there was, I know someone will be there. Now, okay. Anyway, they say Gehanim.
It's like the ones that come just to the scene,
Ooh, whoa. Anyway,
It wasn't referring to them.
where's this anger coming from? Anyway. So the guys, so they had this party set up to be an incentive for people to come. Initially, misham. You might remember, I always say this. One of the Masechtas we learned was called Erevin. You might be trying to forget it, but we learned it. One of the halachas we learned: if a guy goes chutz l'tchum, he's stuck for 4 amas, right? Remember, if he goes outside his tchum, he's stuck within 4 amas of tchum, right? So let's say you would come, go chutz l'tchum, you Mechal Shabbos, and now you're made. You're stuck 4 amas, right? So very Shaina initially, they did not go ahead and move from there. They call a yoin. Why? Because of 4 Amis. But now obviously, this would the incentive. It would be yeah. Forget about the incentive. This would do the opposite. It would be a turnoff that people would come. So Hiskin Rabbi Gamliel Hazakin Shemahalchen Al Payim Amal Chol Ruach, that they can go on the city of Yerushalayim 2,000 amas northwest, east, south. Not only these people did they go ahead and say that if you travel outside the Tchum that you're able to go ahead and travel within the Tchum of the city. A midwife who's coming to go ahead and aid a woman in childbirth also would be permitted to go ahead and not be stuck in 4 amas. Let's say there's a fire, people coming to save people. Hagayas for a party. This is all menanor. This is all pekuach nefesh, guys. When on poiles, you have a calamity, let's say a collapse of buildings. Hari elu kan she'ir, they have a loch of anshe'ir, and therefore they have, since they have a din of anshe'ir, not of someone coming chutz tchum, v'yesh lem al payim l'chol ruach, they would have a payim for all directions. Okay, this is na'iboilu. It says beis yazek tanan, u beis yozek tanan. Is it beis yazek or beis yozek? Now this seems to be a moot point, but it seems to be whether it was a positive name or a negative name. Tana beis yazek tanan is lishnam alyu. It's a very positive lashon. It says vayas keu and vayas kelehu. They surrounded it with a fence and they went ahead and took away all the stones. So you see, it's a lashon of surrounding, like a ring around something. Aiduma beis yazek tanan is lishnam tsaruhu. It's a lashon of tsar because they're stuck within 4 amas. In other words, that the lashon, it got the name because of what? Because the fact they were stuck. So it says kidich siv, who also bazikin, and what they were tied with chains. So the people would come. They call it basically like the lashon of bazikin, like in chains, like you're chained within 4 amas. So therefore, it got a name after the negative, or got a name after the positive. On Rabbi Tashma, I'll show you got a name after the positive. Sudas gedolos hayoisen lehem. They made big suda shom kedei shiur gilim lavoi. They should be accustomed to come. Dilmer, so l'chayre avaraya. So with dilmer tati avdilahu. Maybe they did both. Maybe they get a suda, and maybe they were stuck. So you have no raya whether it was yazek or it was yazek. Okay, we're going to do the Mishnah now. We'll do it again tomorrow night. Let's just do it. We have a little time. Let's just do it, and we'll do it again tomorrow night because tomorrow's Gemara requires an introduction. Kate said, "Bite going to say them." How would they go ahead and check the Eidim? In other words, you check the Eidim out. You want to know if they saw the Levana. Now, be aware. If you remember the Moilid. The Moilid is when you begin to see the moon. We said the Daf Chof. We said when it's totally black is because there's no reflection of the sun on the moon. So when the moon is between the sun and the earth, when the moon rotates between the sun and the earth, that's what we call now. When it gets very small coming in, that's called in the vernacular that's called waning, right? And then when it waxes is when it becomes out. It becomes new. We want the new. We want when it comes out when it's new, not when it's old. Okay. So now, Ketzer Baikin Seidim, Zug Sheba Rishain. The first group that came, you check them first. You first begin the gadol. I guess the Sherman Samalacha says that through how do you recognize who's a gadol? Obviously age. You have to use shikol hadas who's the elder over there, right? Did you see it? Did you see it before the moilid or after the moilid? Now, if he said before the moilid, we don't care because that's the old one. We need the la'achar moilid. We need the new one. The tzvayinu l'joyim, you see in the north or the south, that's going to be problematic because the moilid is always in the south, not in the north. Kameh haya gavaya, how high was it? Well, ein haya noita, which direction was it inclining? The kameh haya rochav, how wide was it? Imam l'fnei acham l'yim aklum. Guys, you know why? Because it's the old one, right? It's the Leia Moilid, we don't care. Then you bring in the second one. You check him out. If you find the words are in conjunction, good pun, then the Eidus Wad is fulfilled. The Shakal Zuga now. Imagine you have 30 guys, 40 zugais there, right? Bunch of people. You could have 100 zugais. Guys, you can have more. And then it's like jury duty, but jury duty, you're happy, right? You have people sitting there and they call up the first ones. No, now they're going to say, okay, you're dismissed. So what are you going to do the next time? You're going to say, so why should I bother coming? There'll be somebody else, right? So they would check each one out. And Vishar Kol Yezuga Shoylem Esai Rashid Dvarim, they would ask him, perfunctory with questions. Why show you tzrichim? They didn't really need them because you already makadosh based on the first pair. They shouldn't go out in faribel. They shouldn't be upset. Bishvil sheyir gil and lavai. That for future they should be ruggle the kan.